Hello and welcome to Lore of the Cards, the series that looks to find the lore hidden in your Hearthstone deck. Keeping with our totally up-to-date content, we're going to take a look at a card from the Naxxramas adventure and you're gonna like it. Or you've just clicked over to another video thinking, who's that douchebag? Calm down, I'm not Garrosh. Today we'll be looking at everyone's favourite one-cost card, Zombie Chow. Da. The art of the card is by E.M. Gist, an artist from the United States fairly familiar with creating images of animated corpses. He produces art for books, comics, and 8 collectible cards in Hearthstone. He is best known for his art's disturbing imagery and horror elements. Zombies are reanimated corpses revived through the art of necromancy. Several creatures have appeared as zombies in the Warcraft universe, most frequently humans, but bears, wolves, goblins and gnolls have also been known to be denied their eternal rest. Zombies are the most mindless variety of undead, their eyes constantly staring ahead, devoid of life. They lack any free will, dominated by their masters who brought them back from death. Most of the shambling masses of flesh and bone have no memory of their former life. Some, though, horrifyingly retain some of their memories, trapped in a prison of their own rotting body. These more intelligent zombies do remember the languages they once knew in life, but can only communicate through broken, halted speech. Zombies that have no remaining memories don't speak, just produce groans and nonsensical guttural sounds. During the Third War, zombies were deployed as frontline troops for the undead scourge as they ravaged the northern lands of the Eastern Kingdoms. The zombies' bodies in suspended decay would scare and sicken their opponents, weakening their resolve. The zombies would attack by clawing at their despairing opponents or brutally clubbing them to death. In Warcraft 3 there are several occasions when live humans transformed into zombies before the very eyes of unsuspecting soldiers. The Necromancer Kel'Thuzad helped mastermind this, helping spread the plague of undeath via grain distributed from the small city of Underhull. Prince Arthas Menethil witnessed the transformation on several occasions during his unsuccessful quest to prevent the plague from spreading around his kingdom of Lordaeron. Once in Hearthglen, as his party made their way to Stratholm, a legion of undead were preparing to attack, but before the main force was launched, citizens that had consumed the Underhull grain changed and attacked whomever was closest. After protecting Hearthglen, Uther the Lightbringer's forces arriving to aid Arthas, they continued on to Stratholm. Here, Arthas confronted who he thought was responsible for the plague, the Nathrezim Mal'Ganis. The Dreadlord taunted Arthas, morphing the citizens of Stratholm into zombies, plucking the prince's people from him one by one. Arthas burnt the city to the ground to prevent the spread of the plague, to the disgust of Uther and Jaina Proudmoore. Zombies have no fear, are unthinkingly obedient, and each act as a mobile biological weapon. Their bodies harbour plague and disease, acting as a host for numerous parasitic creatures. Though the Scourge's enemies soon found out, zombies paled when compared to the other monstrosities of the undead Scourge, more intimidating and riddled with even more plague and disease. Zombies are at the bottom of the undead food chain. They lack ambition, are simplistic, and pale in power when compared to other undead. They are merely shadows of their former selves, gormless, obedient horrors, their tormented souls caged within. On occasions during the Scourge's march, zombies would sometimes break free of the control of their master, Ner'zhul the Lich King. Even so, they were damned to a life of solitude and loneliness. While they did retain some of their personality and knowledge from life, no civilized society even contemplated for a second the thought of allowing a zombie to walk among them. As the Lich King's power began to wane towards the end of the Third War, so much so he would need to merge with his champion, a corrupted Arthas Menethil, several members of the Scourge broke away to form the Forsaken. This rebel faction, led by Sylvanas Windrunner, were not accepted by society at large, but they at least had each other for companionship. They would later enter into a tentative alliance with the Horde that eventually would lead to Sylvanas becoming the faction's war chief. The zombies of the Forsaken seem to be different to those of the Scourge, capable of rational thought. For example, Algernon has become a trader of alchemical supplies, and the zombie Boyle can be found in the Undercity's Apothecarium, drink in hand. Several reintegrated zombies served the Knights of the Ebon Blade, mighty Death Knights that broke from the Lich King's control in the Wrath of the Lich King expansion. Boltskull, Gangrenous and Mangled served the Knights and their allies in the Alliance and Horde as merchants, offering general and trade supplies. A large chunk of zombies that broke away from the Scourge were not so lucky, left to wander mindlessly around Tirisfal Glades and the eastern and western Plaguelands. The shells they were in the Scourge, but with no master, left to wander aimlessly. Members of the Forsaken will frequently take it upon themselves to hunt these wretches down and finally allow the sweet embrace of death to welcome them once again. Disease-ridden bears, wolves and even squirrels of the Plaguelands have characteristics similar to humanoid zombies. Flesh hangs from their bodies, the bones of their rib cages exposed, and their skin is covered in rot and disfiguring sores. There is a zombie variety of gnolls known as the Rothide. One of the leaders of this group once served Sylvanas. Snarlmane would become involved in a conflict between Sylvanas and the Dreadlord Varimathrus. To gain an advantage on the Dreadlord, Sylvanas had one of her banshees possess Snarlmane. This saw all the gnolls in the area follow her command, and with this advantage she bested Varimathrus. Before Sylvanas could strike the Dreadlord down, he feebly begged for his life. Seeing him as a valuable asset, Sylvanas let him live and serve as her second. Sometime in the future, it would appear Snarlmane was slain and brought back to life. He would take up residence in the now abandoned Fenris Keep, once the home of Silverpine's lordship and a large chunk of Lordaeron's military. This keep of strategic significance fell before the Scourge, betrayed from within by the mage Thul Ravenclaw. Another notable gnoll zombie is Maggot Eye, who terrorised the Tirisfal Glades. Horde adventurers deal with this rabid undead, silencing his presence in the area and allowing the Forsaken to go about their business. The gnoll had been stealing corpses, a valuable resource to the Forsaken. Goblins have also been known to be turned into zombies. After fleeing their island home of Kazan after a cataclysmic event, the Bilgewater Cartel goblins found themselves on the Lost Isles. Ever the resourceful race, the goblins were able to find a prime location to open up their town in a box. But near this location lay the pygmy village of Umlot. The pygmies stole goblins away, their witch doctors transforming them into zombies. After amassing a force, the pygmies sent the zombies to attack the town in a box. After dealing with the initial wave, the goblins sought to put an end to the zombie offensive before it could gather steam. They ascended the Lost Peak and, using rocket boots, blasted the large gathering of zombies. There aren't many notable human zombies, most of them tied into Forsaken questlines. There was once a boss in the Scholomance dungeon called Lawkeeper Polket. The only hint we have to his life before his death is his name, presumably once a knowledgeable man, that knowledge now lost. He was removed from the game when Scholomance was updated. Samuel Phipps was a zombie slain by adventurers to fulfill the final wishes of his wife, Marla. When the plague spread through Lordaeron, it claimed Samuel as one of its victims. Marla was lucky enough not to be tormented by undeath, but had the harrowing fate of being murdered by the mindless shell of the man she loved so much. Marla's final wish was to be buried with her husband. Adventurers made sure to honour this, slaying the zombie and taking the remains to Marla's grave. The Agraman family owned a large mill in Tirisfal Glade. This, like many other places during the Third War, was assaulted by the Scourge, eventually falling. Thurman Agraman, son of the mill's owner Gregor, was risen as a zombie. A letter transcribed by Thurman to his lover Yvette Farthing explains how the mill fell, though it would not be delivered to Yvette until much later, when she had become a part of the Forsaken. The Agamans were able to convince their loyal workforce to stay and help them defend the mill against the Scourge. However, as time passed, Thurman's younger brother Devlin lost faith in their abilities to defend. Devlin betrayed his family, making a pact with the Scourge. He slew 2 guardsmen, allowing a small Scourge force through. The undead slaughtered the mill's defenders as they slept, wiping out a third of the forces before finally being bested. After this devastating attack, it was only a matter of time before the mill would fall. Devlin was betrayed by the Scourge being killed, but at least being transformed into a more powerful undead than his family, presumably as a reward for his betrayal, a skeletal mage. Preceding the Wrath of the Lich King expansion, the Plague of Undeath made its way into the capital cities of Azeroth. Players were transformed into zombies and spread the plague amongst each other. While the pre-expansion event was called Zombie Infestation, the model used for the player zombies was that of a ghoul. The unit Zombie Chow is part of the Gluth encounter in Naxxramas. The zombies spawn throughout the fight. While most of the raid focused on the massive plague dog Gluth, one of or a couple raid members focused the zombies, kiting them around the opposite end of the room as far away from Gluth as possible. If the Chow were able to catch the kiter, they would apply infected wounds, increasing the damage they took from physical attacks. The zombies would be kited until Gluth used the technique Decimate. This reduced all player and zombies' health to 5%. Upon use of the move, the Chow will begin to slowly plod their way to Gluth. If they reach the dog, it will consume the zombie, recovering 5% of its health. This meant heroes needed to desperately scramble to kill all the zombies before they reached the plague dog. So, there you have it, the lore behind zombies in the Warcraft universe. I really hope you enjoyed this. If you did, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and share this video around. It will invigorate us with new life. Though if you wish us to remain as a shambling husk of death, just give that dislike button a click. I've done my best to credit the artists in the description below, so check them out. To keep up to date with our videos, follow us on Twitter and Facebook. And to catch any live streams, follow us on Twitch, something I hope to be doing more of in the future. Until next time, happy Hearthstoning.